Research shows one of the leading prescribers of opioids to adolescents and young adults are dentists and oral surgeons.
That's a particularly high-risk group because they go on they're more likely to go on to develop risky opioid use, develop a substance use disorder, that sort of thing, if they get that initial opioid prescription.
That's why faculty from UK College of Dentistry and College of Pharmacy are examining opioid prescriptions for individuals ages 12 to 25 after major dental procedures. They're working with the largest oral surgery practices in Kentucky to help them revise the way they prescribe pain medication.
What we are aiming to measure is that there will be a reduction in the number of prescriptions that dentists, whether they are oral surgeons, just dentists, give after these type of procedures.
They're looking to understand how dentists make their decisions and help them use different medications instead of opioids.
Things like Tylenol and ibuprofen provide better pain control after a tooth extraction than something like an opioid. So we have something that's probably a little bit safer, but we also know tends to work better.
The research team has already started recruiting practices for their clinical trial.
Some of them have actually had some personal connection and have felt like there's such an important need, have seen how devastated the effects of substance use disorder can be, and are really happy and glad to be part of a project that is aiming to reduce the amount of opioids that are going out there to the community.
In Lexington, Samantha Valentino, WKYT.